going on within their organizations, agencies, houses of worship, and so forth. We always encourage folks to invite engaged stakeholders to the table with us. So, with that said, our agenda for this afternoon, we don't have a ton of items, but I imagine that they're going to be pretty substantial. So first and foremost, we're being joined today by the Center for Community Transitions. Sharina Richards and Kenwan. Is it Kenwan? What is your last name?
Watkins.
Okay, Kenwan Watkins from Center for Community Transitions. Extremely grateful for y'all to be joining us this afternoon. Have a few opportunities for public engagement to go over with everyone for county and city funded initiatives, particularly centered around Albemarle Road. Very briefly touch on some violence data and upcoming mitigation effort that we're in the process of organizing, an update, and just a reminder of the community engagement fair and agriculture day that we have planned for next Saturday, and then we'll go to an open forum. So with that said, I will go ahead and kick it off to the CCT team. I don't know if Sharina or Kenwan, which one of y'all would like to begin, and if you need to share, I will go ahead and give sharing permissions to do so.
And Juan, you want to go first or me?
Yeah, I'll go. I can share a little bit. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ken Wan, and I work for the Center for Community Transition, specifically in our Families Doing Time program. And in our Families Doing Time program, we work with families that have been impacted by incarceration and/or deportation. So a lot of our services are youth prevention programs, where we kind of meet weekly in CMS schools, develop partnerships with them, and when they identify students that have been impacted by incarceration and deportation, we just meet with them, bring our curriculum that touch on social emotional learning, and just kind of talk to them about new coping mechanisms to deal with what they've been experiencing. We do have monthly family gatherings, weekly teen groups, and also caregiver support groups. And for the summer, last year, we piloted a summer program where we kind of did the same thing we do through the school year with schools, but also with like summer programs. So with different YMCAs and also Tuckasegee Rec Center. So if you guys are familiar with any places that, would welcome us, I don't mind meeting with, directors and leaders and just kind of explaining to them what it is we do, and how we would like to help for the summer. And so just keep us posted. And if you guys need anything, you can definitely reach out to us. And I want to learn more in this meeting. So I'm excited to be here with you.
Thank you, Kenwan. And y'all are pretty active already in Charlotte East Language Academy, correct? And I know there's some other sites.
Yes, sir. We have been work with them.
Cool. So yeah, I know y'all do have a really good existing footprint on the east side, and I would highly encourage folks that want to learn more about that to reach out. Any questions for Kenwan about Families Doing Time?
Yes, Kenwan, hi, this is Betty from Galilee Ministries. Galilee Ministries is located at 3601 Central Avenue. So if you ever need space to do things, reach out to our executive director. Her name is Emily Parker.
Okay.
Okay. And the phone number is 704-900-5210.
Gotcha. Yes, ma'am. We definitely will. I know space has been a thing for us, trying to find a space and meeting people where they are because it is hard to get to our building. But I would definitely let her know, and I appreciate that. So building connections already. I'm excited. Miss Emily Parker.
Thank you for sharing that, Betty. Alrighty, Sharina, are you there?
Yes, yeah, I'm here. Okay. Yep.
All you.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Sharina Richard. I'm also with the Center for Community Transitions. I am the program director for the LifeWorks program. So the LifeWorks program is an supportive employment program for individuals with justice involvement. So any involvement with the criminal justice system, from an arrest record to a 20-year sentence and formerly incarcerated. We start enter everyone into our program through a 2-week workshop. So in the morning, we cover readiness skills needed to get the job. And then in the afternoon, we cover retention skills needed to keep the job. And then after the 2 weeks, the 2-week workshop is over, then the participants or graduates start working with our job developer to find employment. We have over 45 partner employers who hire our participants. Each participant is also assigned a client advisor who works with them similar to a case manager, who works with them one-on-one to help, set and achieve personal and professional goals. We also have a program with where we partner with UNC Charlotte and Charlotte Community Health Clinic for individuals returning to the community with chronic illnesses. We partner with the clinic to help them get health care. And we pretty much try to touch on every barrier that we possibly can while they're with us. We work with our clients for up to a year and beyond that if it's still needed. We help with transportation to and from our classes. And we offer gift card incentives to stimulate our participants while they're looking for work and when they get their first paycheck, or until they get the first paycheck. We are currently housed in West Charlotte in the Goodwill building, and currently looking for space in East Charlotte, diligently looking for space in East Charlotte. We went out canvassing last week to make sure that we're passing flyers, and we posted flyers in different shopping in East Charlotte. That's the LifeWorks program.
Thank you. And just, as we try to support Center for Community Transitions too with space on the east side, just to clarify for everybody, Sharina, so like for space, y'all really would need full 9 to 5, 2 weeks for a slot, correct?
In order to fully offer the program over there, that's what we need. But I have some other thoughts and ideas, like if we could be somewhere for at least like 1 day to conduct quick talks, which is kind of like an intake or like a short intake, or sign people up, give them bus passes so that they could get to West Charlotte if need be. That's also an option. It does, if ideally it would be to have a space to be for 2 weeks at a time. But another option is to be located somewhere in East Charlotte at least once a week, just to, allow the community members to hear about our program, sign people up, provide them with transportation or transportation options, so that if need be, they could get to West Charlotte.
Cool. Any questions or comments for Sharina regarding their LifeWorks program? And I will say LifeWorks has done significant work in the East Side before, particularly last year. They were based out of the Digital Innovation Center at Easttown Market. So they are, and Sharina is an East Sider, so she is very familiar with our community. So I would strongly encourage y'all connecting with both of these programs and learning more. And I'll be sure to send out the links to the specific details for both LifeWorks and Families Doing Time when I do the summary of the event today. But if there's anyone that has any questions, please feel free to lift them up right now.
Hey Greg, thank you for the presentation, Sharina. I was curious about you all's involvement, or if you're connected with the Mecklenburg County Reentry Council.
Yes, we are.
Oh, got you. Okay, cool. What does that work look like there, or like the kind of support that you're receiving from them?
So we partner with them, and they refer people to us. We probably have 4 to 5 of their participants every cycle.
Gotcha. Cool. Thank you. I had just sat through a presentation last week learning more about the Reentry Council. I was just curious about if y'all had any work there. So thank you for what you do.
Yes, thank you.
Alrighty, and I would, Jordan, I'm sorry, I didn't even see you come on. I would like to recognize our representative-elect for NC House District 112, Jordan Lopez. Jordan, thank you for being on the call with us this afternoon. I know Jordan doesn't take office until January, but he has really been diligent about making every meeting that he can and understanding the lay of the land. So
Awesome.
Thank you for the introduction, Greg, and it's good to be here with everybody this afternoon. I'll drop an email in the chat just in case anybody ever wants to reach out to chat about anything, but looking forward to working with all of your organizations, charities, churches, whatever it may be, or individually to help advance the priorities of our community in Raleigh. So thank you.
thank you. And thank you, Sharina, and thank you, Ken Wan. Greatly appreciated that overview.
Thank you, Greg. Thanks for having us.
Of course, and please stay on a call with us for the rest of the call. I want to make sure that y'all get the full Eastside nonprofit community and faith leader experience this afternoon. Two opportunities for public engagement that I wanted to bring up to y'all today. One, and this one hasn't really super been publicized as much as I would have thought, or maybe it just kind of got lost in the shuffle. But Park and Rec has already had a community engagement session about this, and we'll be having another one. They have acquired, what is it, 20, Maureen and Carolyn, if I'm wrong, please correct me, 27 acres off of W.T. Harris across from kind of the Farm Pond community. And you can see on the map where it is right there, right above Albemarle Road, kind of behind the Bojangles in the cut. So you can see the land right there on the right. This is one of the newer apartment complexes underneath. But the county right now is in the process of conducting public engagement to figure out, hey, what should we do with this plot of land? How should we design it? You know, should it be more of an active space where we do courts, where we do fields? Should it be more of a passive recreational space where we really preserve most of the trees and we do nature and walking trails and just keep the vibe that's very similar to some of the further eastern parks like Reedy Creek? So there is, let me go ahead and just put it in the chat right now. The public input link for this one, it's a pretty quick survey, and it's just about what are your priorities for the park? What would you like to see? I'm extremely excited about it. You know, the more parkland that we can have on the east side and green space, the better. So the public input for that is in the chat, but I'll also send it out via email for those who would like to conduct it, do it via then. And I know I don't know if anybody knows the date, there is going to be another community engagement session. The first one was pretty well attended. I think it was last week or a week and a half ago at Albemarle Road Rec Center. So be sure to push out that information when we get it.
Greg, this is Maureen.
Hey,
I'd like
Maureen.
to mention that this is a really good piece of connection in addition to the park. The plan for Park and Rec is to be connecting from Reedy Creek over to this park, to Campbell Creek Park, and then to the Eastland, and of course Campbell Creek Greenway. So it's a really great opportunity for those of us in the East community. Of course, it's off in the distance, having to get all that work done with connection and developing a park, but please let people know.
Thank you. And it's around 27, 29 acres, right? Am I?
Sorry, it's 28 and a half.
So
You're close enough, but I didn't
right
correct
in the middle. I feel like 29 acres is like a number that's going to be burned in my memory for forever. So, okay, perfect. Thank you for that input. So yes, again, the survey is in the chat for this. And the second opportunity for public engagement is the City of Charlotte's Quarter of Opportunity team, they, as in we in community, have been giving input as to what this idea of a cultural trail is going to be, called the Albemarle Road Cultural Trail. The concept being, can we create a, a path, a space that activates different parts of our community, really centered around Eastland, but that swings all the way down past W.T. Harris. That is, there are different paths that folks are, they're trying to get input on. That includes different cultural stops. How do we include art? What are the priorities for what this would look like? It's being run through the city. It is not a park and rec initiative. And I will say that funding, as you'll see in the survey, it even indicates that funding has not been specifically acquired or allocated for this project yet. But this is to my understanding, third round of community engagement, particularly around this project. The city has hired another consulting firm to do this round, and there's going to be a public meeting next Tuesday between 5:30 and 7:30 at Simmons YMCA, where you can learn more about the project. To be honest, even though I've been familiar with this project for some time, I'm still I really need to learn more to educate myself about the specific goals that are being addressed through the design of this. But it's to connect community either via Albemarle in Central, or to do it through the neighborhoods, but to provide a way to connect spaces that currently aren't connected, and incorporating elements such as public art that reflect the diverse character of our community. Sorry if that wasn't super clear, but the public input for it, let me actually make sure that I have the right link before I give it to y'all. Because it is yes, it is a lengthy link. And it does give a little bit more of a description of like what is a walking trail, what are some of the different pathways. And actually I can pull it up super briefly because we have time, but you can see there are a few concepts that they're going for, and they're asking for what are the priorities for what this trail should accomplish. This is one iteration of the math and how the primary route should be, called the mainline concept. The second one is called the neighborhood connector. This was the one I filled out the survey. I liked this one. This was my preference. And then there's another one called the retrofit concept. So if you want, take some time to check this out and stop by the community meeting next week at Simmons. Any questions about this about either this or the park that I might be able to answer or point you in the right direction to? Okay. Alrighty. Let's move on to let me move on to this one first. Let me shuffle the order a bit. So we've been bringing this up for a few weeks, but extremely excited that next weekend on May 18th will be our East Charlotte Farm and Community Day. So we have 3 sites: Mary Oaks Elementary, Eastway Middle, and Garinger High, all with school-based agriculture programs. They all have either aquaponic setups, greenhouses, but they all produce produce. And the students are all involved with it, just at different levels. And Mary Oaks is actually getting really a significant capital influx to create a better version of what their farm is right now. They're getting support from the CMS Foundation to really create a unique space that is going to allow those elementary school students the ability to even sell their own produce, is my understanding, is how that ultimately is going to look. So in kind of with this same theme around the ribbon cutting for construction in Mary Oaks, we said, well, why don't we create a day where we highlight the agricultural programs at all 3 of the schools in the same feeder pattern? Because if a child stayed in their neighborhood and started at Mary Oaks, they would ultimately go to middle school at Eastway Middle, and then they would go to high school at Garinger High. So what we've done in partnership with the schools is create these different events at each one of these sites. I see Venitra. Venitra, I had to Google that too, what a zebu was. It's actually a mini zebu, which is like some kind of a cow. But we'll have a petting zoo. We'll have a petting zoo at Mary Oaks Elementary for the kids. We'll have a significant number of agricultural-based partners. So the Carolina Farm Trust will be there. We're having the extension gardeners be there. I believe the Bulb is going to be coming out to do fresh produce giveaway that day for families. We're going to have food and garden programming via the school. I mean, there's a slew. I think we're working on a couple taco trucks that are owned by parents of the school to be there. So really excited about that one. At Eastway Middle, we are running a community resource fair sponsored by really Eastway Middle's community and schools program, as well as another company called Shermco. They have 30 community partners signed up, really catered to newcomer and refugee supports. But it's not just going to be a community resource fair in terms of social services. Their aquaponics and agricultural lab will be open and managed by 100 Gardens that day. We have booked the Mecklenburg Soil and Water class from Mobile Classroom to do soil lessons on erosion for that day. There will be snow cone giveaways. So those two will be happening concurrently. And then from 12 to 2 at Garinger High, the aquaponics lab will be open, and there's going to be a plant giveaway to the first 50 families who visit all 3 sites. So kind of we're trying to incentivize people to get into the schools and to check out the different programs. What you're seeing right now is going to be the card that we're going to be giving out. There's one side is English, one is in Spanish, but to the families that come through, and we're going to be stamping as they come through. So kind of with the incentive, you show up at Garinger, we'll be able to get you a free plant. It's either going to be a tomato plant, a zinnia plant, or I forget. I think they have some pretty. I was over there last week. Some pretty substantial aloe vera plants, some like 3-footers. So yeah, no, I saw your eyes, Maureen. They're pretty substantial. I didn't know they got like that, but I guess when it's in a greenhouse all day, so it goes. But there is an Eventbrite link. We do anticipate a few hundred families from the schools themselves coming at least to the individual sites. You know, we're unable to secure transportation to get folks from site to site, but confident that all 3 locations will have valuable enough programming that'll make it worth your time if you'd like to stop by any one of them. So I know there are quite a few community partners on the call right now who will be tabling. And you guys will all be tabling, I'm pretty sure, at Eastway Middle, and they'll be coordinating with you there. So holding it rain or shine, because if it's raining, everything will be moved to the inside of the schools and we can continue as is. So. Any questions or comments about May 18th? There are a lot of community events going on that day, y'all, we know, but we planned this one first. I'll say that one. But no, there's a lot going on that day, and this is a very just stop in as you want and check out what we have going on. Okay. There wasn't really an action item associated with this today, but obviously this is the first time this group and stakeholders have been able to convene in a virtual presence since the incident that occurred a week ago in Shannon Park. And I know for me, it's still weighing extremely heavy for a multitude of reasons, but primarily for the loss of life for our individuals who we're trying to protect and make our community a safer place. There's a lot of grief, to be honest, on my end, a lot of anger. Some of it I know is misplaced. But I wanted to inform this group of some of the efforts that have already been done to attempt to address violence mitigation in the area where this event occurred, and what are the plans that we have already made to take next steps to work on a collaborative Eastside specific approach, long-term approach. It's going to take time, but to chip away at this issue that's been plaguing at our community for some time, right? And I'll say after Monday's incident, A few hours later, Tuesday night, someone was shot and killed in Wallora Lake. Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., there was an open fire at a moving vehicle at the intersection of Eastway and Kilbourne. And around 2 p.m. that other afternoon, or that same afternoon, there was a police pursuit at gunpoint across from Garinger at Dismissal. Sunday night around 6 p.m., we had an individual, an adult male, who was murdered at the open air flea market at Midnight Rodeo, further down Albemarle Road. So point being, the violent crime, I don't even think is at its crescendo for this. We're approaching the beginning of summer in East Charlotte yet. But I do want to make folks aware of the steps that we're trying to take collectively as a community to look at this long term, but also what already exists. So the map that you're looking at now, and I wish I could make it a little bit bigger, but this was compiled specifically for us in the United Way of Greater Charlotte by a data science company called Common Good Labs. The area that's highlighted is the corridor of opportunity geography for Albemarle Central. And I wish I could give you the firm boundaries of where they are, but that top line is Finchley Drive. And that it's long story short, it's cut in a very, very unique way. But this map shows the homicides between 2019 and 2022 that occurred in this region. And the red dots, they're very faint, and I'll send this out as well. But if you can tell, in the shaded area, just north of the corridor boundary, you can see quite the cluster of red triangles. A disproportionately so concentrated cluster of red triangles, all in the northeastern section of this map, which is directly in the area where the shooting occurred last Monday. So there were 40 homicides on this map that were not reflected inside the bright area, and that's significant. The reason that is significant, as we look at where we're at right now in terms of the city's budget strategy, the city's city manager proposed in a budget on, it was yesterday, no, excuse me, today's Wednesday, on Monday. And there are some other agencies that are trying to get funding to continue violence mitigation efforts in other parts of the city. Our violent crime concentration in the east side, particularly as reflected in this corridor geography, we have been told by city and CMPD officials over the years that our crime has not been concentrated or violent enough to merit funding for support for programs such as Alternative to Violence. We've heard this from many stakeholders over numerous years. What has happened, and I want y'all to see this very specifically, and council's been made aware of this data as well. A lot of our violent crime has been excluded from statistics and data sets that are being used by other agencies to say, hey, there's a glaring need for support in this area. So this map alone denotes 40 shootings that were not included as part of the data set for Central and Albemarle violent crime in a 3-year stretch, which puts our proportionate need way lower on the list than, say, Beatty's Ford, which deservedly needs the attention that it's getting. But there has been an issue with data compilation and actions that have been taken as a result of data compilation. So this is one step in excuse me, not one step, but one reason that we've seen not the support that's been rolled out in other areas of our city to specifically our Briarwood, Milton Road corridor. And Venetia, that's a very good question. I've had conversations with both city and county staff, the Office of Violence Prevention, the corridors team. In terms of how the map was drawn, it was just, really the response was, well, we can't include every part of the community. Was essentially the response from the corridors team. And I'm not, obviously what happened on Monday is an individual's actions that, I don't think any specific policy or any initiative could have immediately prevented that from occurring, right? But point being is the concentration that we have is at a crisis level and it's not stopping. And the funding and the supports are not coming right now. We are not going to get the city and the county supports with this. So with that said, last week, in the wake of the shooting, I reached out to a number of agencies and individuals who I know have been working with youth, some of the principals at the schools, some of the nonprofits that we work with that deal exclusively with youth supports and upward mobility that are familiar just with East Charlotte, right? Not overarching citywide organizations, but boots on the ground people who have been doing the work here that know the landscape here. We have arranged a very preliminary planning session later in the month to start brainstorming some overarching goals that we believe can be implemented throughout the East Side community, and not just within the organizations, but also neighborhoods. There's neighborhood representation that will be at that meeting. And then we will continue to build out the stakeholders as we progress, because this is a long-term fight, right? Like, I mean, we've been in this situation where violent crime has kind of really gone off the rails in the past few years. So it's going to take a long-term solution and a collective solution to make impact. So there are about 15 to 20 agencies and neighborhoods will be convening at the end of the month to set a preliminary framework. We are familiar, the county does have an overarching The Way Forward playbook, which is a strategic plan for violence mitigation that runs through 2028. Understanding that framework is there, what we thought as a collective East Side body we would like to do is really identify our own ways and needs that we can address collectively and implement throughout the rest of the community and bring stakeholders on board. I know that sounds very abstract right now, which it is. It's supposed to be. The first planning session that we're going to be having is going to really try to iron some of this stuff out so we can present to the broader community a more, hey, here's what we are trying to create, and we would love for you to be part of this. But the small stakeholder session are the individuals, like I said, who have been very active in this corridor for a decade plus. But my point in bringing this to this group today is to make folks aware that we are being very intentional about crafting a response to the tragedy. Not to the tragedy, but I guess you could say in the wake of the tragedy. Because, with summer approaching, we're going to be continuing to see, violence permeate throughout our community. And I think it's really time that collectively as the East Side that we do something about it together without waiting for a top-down approach to come in and to potentially give us some funding supports to mitigate these issues. And I know that was a lot that I just dropped, and I'm sorry, it was probably could have been a lot more cohesive, but our emotions are still very, very, very high regarding what occurred and regarding what is still occurring, particularly around Shannon Park. In the 3 days that preceded last Monday's incident, there were 5 separate reports of shots fired within a half mile of that site. So the house is really on fire, and it's going to take a collective approach to solve it. But I do have faith in the long term that our community will be able to do this. But there's just no silver bullet, right? It is going to require a lot of collective work and collective impact. So just with that 5-minute word vomit that I just gave to everybody, if there's any questions that I can answer right now in the short term, I'd be happy to do so. I don't have much more than what I just gave. I'll be happy to fill in folks and make folks aware after we hold this preliminary meeting at the end of the month. And it's not for the sake of exclusion. If folks would like to be engaged in that work and that preliminary planning, and feel like they have a way to contribute, and they have been contributing in this corridor for some time, that you feel familiar enough with the lay of the land to be able to provide intentional solutions, please reach out to me separately, and I'll be happy to add you to that meeting. It's going to be at Simmons at the last Simmons YMCA at the last week of May.
And Greg, can I make an announcement that on May 18th, something else is happening too. It's going to be a very busy day for a lot of agencies. At Galilee, we're having a spring planting festival, and where people will bring flowers, or donations, food, and just join in on planting flowers to beauty up the area.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you.
from 9 to 1 on Saturday.
Wonderful. We'll direct people from Mary Oaks over to there because that should be a pretty quick walk for folks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on the violence mitigation or data? And I'll be happy to send this data to folks. I don't have the most recent compiled 23 to 24 numbers, but I'll be happy to share this full slide deck with individuals. Yes, ma'am, Deanna.
Hey, Mr. Shudo, can you hear me good?
I can.
Okay, I was just gonna ask, thank you for presenting about the violence going up and everything, but I was wondering if the data also shows substance use or if it just shows,
No.
Okay, thank you.
No, it's just straight raw data. Mhm. Hey, Tanya.
Hey, what's up, Greg? Thank you. I was just curious, do you know if CARES team is in on the east side or is it just the west side?
No, I'm not aware of their presence on the east side.
And I was just thinking then that could be something to also be advocating for, especially as the city's looking at the budget, et cetera.
Sure. And that's the thing, Tanya, too, right? Like there are programs like ATV has proven to have success rates on the west side right now, right?
Right.
We have some phenomenal agencies. I need to do my research more on CARES, but we have some phenomenal agencies on the east side too that are doing the work, right? In a very geographic specific approach. And it's like, how do we, and we're figuring this out, this is a rhetorical question, but how do we ensure that the right people are in the right position to expand their capacity? Because we have the SAFE grants through the city, but those are really restricted more toward individuals that already have somewhat built capacity where you have 3 staff members, right? So when some of these more grassroots, we're struggling. But point being about the CARES question, I'm gonna do more research about that because I want to be better informed about that model.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great model. I mean, obviously they're not going to respond to shootings and stuff like that, but some of these other incidents that fester and lead up that don't involve
Sure.
violence, CARES team is really good at helping to mitigate some of that. So getting people the help they need.
Cool. Thank you for lifting that. Sorry, did I see another hand go up?
I had to move to my phone off of my computer. This is Nina Wynn.
Oh,
I
no,
do
no.
want to mention that Kayla Wetherington, I think that's the way she says it, is here today, and she is with Amity Medical Group. And I think, Kayla, if you don't mind, Dr. Wynn wanted us to share some information about other resources that would be available for people who are fighting with addiction, opioid addiction particularly. Kayla, did you get that?
Yes.
Okay. This might be of interest to some here. So do you mind if
Yes.
we share that?
Please do.
Of course. So hi everybody. I'm with Amity Medical Group. And so we have a grant that's basically focusing on 1 second, sorry. It's gonna be MAT is the program. So it's medically assisted treatment. And so we do have counseling services available with it. And with this grant, we can basically fund people from start to finish. So like getting the transportation to counseling services, yeah.
So I'm sorry, you cut it first. So specifically for transportation as well, you said?
Yes, so it covers everything from start to finish. So transportation, like Uber Health, we can get it. And then also the medical side of the treatment as well as counseling services. So pretty much everything from start to finish for substance abuse, specifically for opioid usage.
And y'all are are you speaking about specifically for all of the Amity locations or for the one on WT Harrison in particular?
So the one on WT Harris, we have it at all of our locations though. We're rolling it out and getting it started.
Okay. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Amity Medical Group, I'd highly encourage y'all checking them out. They're part of our United Way cohort this year for the Almar Road Central Avenue bucket of funds, and they do some pretty phenomenal work. They're also primary care provider, but I know do a lot of work in the realm of HIV awareness, prevention, and support. And I know the behavioral health angle is super, super important and a big part of the work that y'all are doing. And they have a number of clinics, but the one that's really centered right in our community is next to Easttown Market off of W.T. Harris. So they do really some great work.
Yes, thank you so much.
Of course. And Kayla, will you share me that information in a condensed version that you just shared?
Yes, I have a flyer and I'll definitely send it your way.
Thank you. All right, y'all, we have about 3 more minutes left. So if there's anything anybody wants to pop off really quickly and share, please do so. I don't know if Diego is still on the call. I do see Diego. And Diego, I'm not asking you necessarily to speak. Oh, and this actually is germane. The Latin American Coalition held a phenomenal event with the Charlotte Symphony 2 weekends ago as part of the mobile symphony that's moving around to different areas. Beautiful, beautiful Sunday afternoon at the Coalition. I know they had around, I think it was 700 plus folks in attendance. But I will say the symphony was supposed to be going somewhere else for Mother's Day. That other location fell through, so it will be at Simmons YMCA on Mother's Day. So there will be a free mobile symphony, and I will send that information out. I believe it's from 2 to 5, but it's the full. If you haven't seen the truck, it's pretty impressive. But the goal is to take the symphony and that experience to individuals in the neighborhoods that usually wouldn't otherwise have access. But Simmons is doing food trucks. It's going to be a free community event. Registration is not required, but it's they'd like to get a good head count. So that's like 5 days from now. So I'll make sure to send that out tomorrow. So I'll lose it. And that actually, I did not realize Mother's Day was 5 days from now. So that gives me like 2 new to-do items that I slipped my mind. So any other items that folks would like to bring up? You can always feel free to email me as well, and I'll send them out tomorrow. Okay. Well, thank you all so much for joining us this afternoon. This is a great turnout. I think this is the highest that we've had, and hope everyone has a safe and blessed rest of your week. Bye, y'all.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.